Most of us think we're making decisions based on logic. We'll say, I'm being practical. I'm just waiting for the right time. I'm just not ready. I'm just really busy. And sometimes those things are true. But if we slow down and get really honest, we're not making decisions based on logic. We're organizing our entire lives around what we don't want to feel. It becomes the architect. It starts designing our schedule, our relationships, our business, our parenting, our creative work, our identity. The emotion we run from starts quietly running the show. And I want to say this with so much compassion. This is not because we're weak. This is because we're this is not because we're dramatic. We don't post the video because we don't want to feel judged. We don't have the hard conversation because we don't want to feel rejected. We don't rest because we don't want to feel unproductive. We overwork because we don't want to feel inadequate. We people please because we don't want to feel disconnected. We stay stuck because at least stuck is familiar. And the wild thing is, the emotion that we avoid doesn't disappear. This is not because we're bad at emotions. This is intelligence. The nervous system is built to move us away from pain and towards safety. So, if somewhere along the way, anger cost you your connection, or sadness made you feel like you're too much, or shame made you want to disappear, or fear made you feel unsafe, of course your body learned to avoid those feelings. Avoidance is not the enemy. Unconscious avoidance is where we lose ourselves. Because when we don't know what we're avoiding, we start calling it our personality. I'm just not good at conflict. I'm just a perfectionist. I'm just bad at consistency. I'm just someone who needs everything to be figured out before I start. But underneath so many of those identities is a feeling we haven't learned how to be with yet. Procrastination usually isn't about laziness. It's about avoiding the discomfort of being seen trying. Perfectionism isn't about high standards. It's about avoiding shame. Control isn't about being organized. It's about avoiding uncertainty. Overworking isn't about ambition. It's a strategy to outrun the feelings that we are not enough. And listen, as a creative entrepreneur and a mother and a certified overthinker with a brain that can turn one email into a 12-part mini drama in my own mind, I say this with love. We can make our avoidance sound very sophisticated. We can put it in a blazer and call it discernment. We can put it in a Google Doc and call it strategy. We can put it in a calendar and call it productivity. But the body knows. The body knows when we're moving from truth and when we're moving from avoidance. And this matters because avoided emotions don't just sit quietly in the corner waiting to be noticed. They distort our behavior. They come out sideways. Anger we don't feel becomes resentment. Sadness we don't feel becomes numbness. Fear we don't feel becomes control. Shame we don't feel becomes hiding. Longing we don't feel becomes jealousy. And suddenly, we're not living our lives. We're living around our emotional landmines. We're tiptoeing through our own inner world, trying not to step on anything that might explode. But the cost of that is expansion. The more we avoid, the smaller our life becomes. Not all at once, but slowly. We avoid one conversation here, and then another opportunity there, and then a risk, and then a dream, and then one version of ourselves. And eventually we start calling the cage peace. We call it being realistic. We call it being low maintenance. We call it being fine. But a life built around emotional avoidance is not the same thing as a peaceful life. Peace is not the absence of hard feelings. Peace is knowing that you can stay with yourself when hard feelings come. That is the shift. The goal is not to eliminate fear, sadness, anger, shame, disappointment, grief, jealousy, embarrassment. The goal is to become someone who can be with them. Because when you feel rejection, you can stay visible. When you can feel fear, you can take risks. When you can feel sadness, you can let go. When you can feel anger, you can set boundaries. When you can feel shame without believing it, you can stay connected to yourself. This is where emotional resilience begins. Not in becoming less sensitive, not in becoming unbothered. The work is not to become numb. The work is to become safe enough inside yourself to feel. To feel without spiraling, to feel without fusing, to feel without making every emotion a prophecy of what's to come. Because an emotion is not always an instruction. Sometimes it's just information. Sometimes it's just energy. Sometimes it's just a memory. Sometimes it's a younger part of you saying, hey, this reminds me of something. And when we don't pause long enough to listen, those younger parts take the wheel, and bless them, they are not licensed to drive. They're trying to protect us, but they don't always know where we're going now. So the practice becomes noticing, not fixing, not judging, not immediately turning every feeling into a project with a color-coded action plan. Just noticing. You might ask yourself, what feeling have I been organizing my life around not feeling? Is it rejection? Failure? Being misunderstood? Disappointing someone? Being ordinary? Being extraordinary? Being alone? Being needed? Being seen? Being wrong? And then ask yourself, what do I do to avoid this feeling? Do I stay busy? Do I scroll? Do I over-explain or undershare? Do I overgive? Do I disappear? Do I make jokes? Do I intellectualize? Do I keep everything vague enough that I never have to be accountable to my own deepest desires? And then gently ask yourself, what would become available in my life if I trusted myself to feel this? Not enjoy it, not invite it over for dinner and drinks and give it the good plates. Just feel it. Let it move through. Let it communicate. Let it stop driving from the trunk of the car. Because that's often what's happening. The avoided emotion is not even in the driver's seat where we can see it. It's in the trunk, banging around, making noise, and we're like, wow, why is this ride so chaotic? So today I want to offer you a small practice. Bring to mind one thing you've been avoiding. Not the biggest thing. We're not emotionally deadlifting today. Just something mild. A conversation, a task, a decision, a creative step. And now ask yourself, what feeling am I avoiding by not doing this? Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's shame. Maybe it's grief. Maybe it's disappointment or vulnerability of wanting something and not knowing if it's going to work out. Just notice where that feeling lives in your body. Is it in your chest, your throat, your belly, your jaw, your shoulders? Can you breathe into that place without needing it to change? Can you say, I see you, I'm listening, and that's it? That's the beginning, not a breakthrough with dramatic lighting and orchestral music, just a moment of contact, a moment where you stop abandoning yourself because a feeling showed up. Because here is the truth. The emotions you run from will run your life. But the emotions you're willing to meet, they can guide your life. They can show you what matters to you. They can reveal where you need boundaries. They can point you towards your desires. They can help you grieve what's over. They can help you risk what's next. They can bring you back into relationship with yourself. And maybe the thing you've been avoiding isn't a wall. Maybe it's a doorway. Maybe the feeling you've been running from is not here to ruin your life. Maybe it's here to return you to it. So today, I invite you to notice one place where avoidance has been quietly making your decisions. Not to shame yourself, not to force yourself, but to lovingly tell yourself the truth. Because once you see the pattern, you can choose differently. And once you can feel the feeling, You can stop building your life around avoiding it. And with that, we've come to the end of today's episode on the Contentment Creator channel, where we explored how to truly feel our feelings deeply and safely. Whether you caught the whole episode or just one of our segments, thank you so much for staying all the way to the end. And I hope you are subscribed so you don't miss another episode. Join me in my mission to help a world full of content creators become a world of contentment creators. Bye, y'all.